Welcome to the Business Spotlight podcast. My name is Kay Cote, and I'm your host for the show today. And today we have Elliot Carson, owner of We Fix Buses. We're going to learn all about his business, his journey to business ownership, best practices, and maybe some challenges that he has faced on his journey to give you that inside look to what it's like to run and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notified when we drop episodes like this. Welcome, Elliot. It's so great to meet you. Thanks for being on the show.
Hey, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, let's kick it off with tell me a little bit about yourself.
Uh, I've been doing transportation for a long time. It's in my family since the 40s. Started in California. So I'm a fourth generation bus person. And it's been a interesting journey nonetheless. So it's hard to give the abridged version, but basically I started my own business and ended up competing against my family's business, and they threatened to go out of their way to make sure I wasn't successful. And I considered not pursuing my my journey here and starting my own business out of fear that I would be basically destroyed by the most powerful family in this business. And so after a long deliberation, I decided to go for it, and barely made it. I think at one point I was $500,000 in debt, and then I got a few contracts and had some success. So I've kind of gotten big enough to where I'm no longer squashable, but actually ran into some of my family members at a conference recently, and some of my family I don't even talk to anymore. It's been a few years. Don't talk to my father or my mother or some of my brothers that are still in the industry. So that's pretty sad, but I love what I do, and I'm passionate about it. I like running businesses, really. I think it kind of is all the same at the end of the day. But I'm really good at fixing buses, and I have a large network of people doing this. So that's kind of the short version of it. It kind of branches off into all kinds of tangled messes of, wild stuff. So, what do you think? What do you want to know? Tell me, ask me.
Thank you so much for sharing that about your story. It sounds like you've overcame some challenges and now you've created something really incredible, and I'm excited to learn more about that. So, yeah, you came from a line of transportation, like family. What fires you up about buses, about transportation?
Solving problems. They break a lot. These buses, so it's every day. There's two sides of it, really, because it's the challenge of actually running the business and doing all those components that, building the team and the supply side of everything, the labor and the talent, but then the business side of it too, actually building the structure of the business and all the components that go in there, right? So like systems and so there's the way I see it, really, two sides of it. I got to run the business and fix the buses and maintain all the equipment. And there's some sales in there too. I do sales and leasing and things, but also there's the whole other side where you have to build the company, right? You have staff and payroll and different states and taxes and it's so there's that whole other side of the business to keep all that side of it running. So it's kind of splitting my time up and prioritizing and delegating. And one challenge right now is I'm trying to find a CRM. I don't even have CRM software. I kind of use notepads and post-it notes, and that's becoming unsustainable. I have enough. Before I was like, oh, maybe I get a couple leads a month and I could manage it all in my head or taking notes. And now it's a dozen a week. And it's like, I can't manage this. So now I'm vetting CRMs and trying to, that's just, one thing so yeah, it's, that's what gets me up, gets me going. It's the fun challenges. It's hard, causes arguments with my wife and things, not arguments, but like passionate debate rather, it's like, right. It's just, I think, and that's why my wife's a great partner. And I attribute a lot of my success to her is, geez, I think she's a little more risk adverse than me. So I think having a good partner is like, I'm like, oh, let's go buy that company for 3 million. And she's like, no, maybe we should think about it. And I'm like, okay, let's vet it. And she's the one that does all the work and really make sure that everything lines up and gets into the weeds. And so I have a great partner, and that's pretty cool. Early in my career, I mean, she saved our business really. So early, when I was starting Springbird, my company, I was kind of breaking up with my family, which I told you about. There was some tension that was starting to crack. My brother, who runs the family business now, he had, kind of basically ran me off, let's say, to put it nicely. And so I'm like, okay. And I met this guy here in Austin, actually. That's what brought me to Austin. Kind of a long story, but the guy's old family friend. He had known my family for 25 years, known my uncle. My uncle was in the business. My uncle passed away in a plane crash. He was a private pilot, and he crashed, and that was she's almost 15 years ago, so a long time. So he knew my uncle, the guy knew my father, the guy, so I got into business with this guy on a handshake and did this whole deal. I bought the buses. I got everything ready for him and lined everything up and set up the shop. And I invested probably, 100,000, maybe a little more. And one day he tells me to get the fuck out of his office.
Oh, wow.
Go,
oh my gosh.
Oh shit. And he just thought he had the upper hand, and he kind of did. It was his shop, and we titled the buses in his name because he had the contract and he had the operating authority. And I invested, like I said, pretty much all the money I had, and he knew so he ran me off. And luckily, my wife was smart enough to say, towards the end, oh, wait, I don't really trust this guy. He's being weird. And he was being weird. So my wife started recording all the conversations. In Texas, it's a one-party state, so it was legal. And luckily, we had everything recorded. So this guy just blabbering on and on about we're partners and we're going to make this much money and this much money is yours, and said everything. And so literally saved us, because then we ended up suing him.
Oh, wow.
Lawyer bills, I think at one point, we were over $200,000. We spent about 200 in lawyer bills. It was a nightmare, but we won. I mean, the guy was a crook, stole from me. And this is like right when everything's happening with my family. And they're telling me, we don't want to get out of here, Elliot. We don't like you. And I'm like, I'm going to start my own business. And they're like, good luck. Fuck off. And I'm like, okay. And then this guy chops my legs out at the same time. And then, I borrowed a bunch of money to start my business. So we were running on credit cards and hope and a prayer, and and it just clicked finally. So it was pretty treacherous. I mean, we downsized our apartment. I was driving a $4,000 used Honda. It was sketch.
Wow, it sounds like it's been quite a journey to where you're at now, and it shows that you've overcome, and you've overcome a lot to get to where you're at today, and that's really powerful. That's powerful. So looking at your business now, you mentioned you're kind of between working in the business and on the business. How are you navigating working on or in, or is that something that you're working through right now?
Yeah, I hire the people to run it. I obviously want it to go a certain direction, but I mean, what works for me is I stay away, so
Mhm.
I don't come into the office like I am right now. Normally, I've been working from home a lot because that allows me to follow up with my customers, to work with the banks on financing certain things, to I think bigger picture to get on it rather. If I get
Mhm.
here, I'm like that's wrong. I'm just like micro distracted all the time, I think, because I want my shop to run a certain way and I want my teams to do certain things. I want the shop to look a certain way,
Mhm.
certain things. So I think for me, one is to find that balance, right? Because to be in it, I want it to run a certain way.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's how, the culture and systems and processes um, and it helps to be here because when I'm here, I'm like, what happened? And then everybody will just, not everybody, but people will just fix it instead of doing like a root cause and going, well, why did that happen? Why does that keep happening? And I'll dig. But then half my day is gone because I'm
Mhm.
like, why is that problem happening? I'm calling tech support for one of our softwares that we use and figuring out what is going on to, so but that's important, I think, because I have people on my team just gone override, override. And it's like, okay, it takes a few minutes to override it. And it's like, why does that keep happening? And so if I'm here, I'm in it and I go, why does and I peel back that onion and really figure that out. So but most days, not most days, half the time I'm just working from home a lot, my home
Mhm.
office, and kind of
Mhm.
it would be a more beautiful background. And that allows me just to relax and I kind of encourage my staff to do that, at least my office manager and kind of my executive, like we to have that just redundant, like busy work. I think some people are comfortable with that, like just like
Mhm.
no, we need to optimize and just so we can breathe and like okay, and then we can solve bigger problems instead of just solving these small problems, putting out these small fires all the time. What's causing these small fires?
Yeah.
So I think that's more of a cultural thing that I'm trying to work on. So
Okay. Yeah. It seems like team building and culture building. And I'm curious to your team right now. How many team members do you have and on your staff right now?
we have I think there's about 25 people total, and I just hired like a director of operations. I have, a couple supervisors in different locations.
Hmm.
I have like a data guy that helps me kind of do reports and keep track of everything. I have my office manager, Stacy, who's here. She's great. Um, and then I just hired a director of operations that's been in the industry for decades. He's a really talented guy, and that's been a challenge, right? Because all these like things where there's a point I didn't want an office person. I was like, oh, me and my wife can run this company. She'll
Hmm.
do the billing and I'll do the work. And I
Hmm.
just went right past that. And and that's one of the things like I'm so thankful for my father, even though I don't talk to him anymore. Like,
Hmm.
the guy's my mentor and he created a very successful company. He's retired. He's on, but he's done very well for himself. And I got to watch him work and how he thought. And so I am like, do a lot of that with my business, right? Like, I'm going to hire a director of operations that makes $250,000 a year because he's better than me at certain things, and that's hard to admit. I think it's like a pretty talented operations guy myself. Like you got to go, oh wait, this guy's better than me, and that was a very exciting moment in my business. I think is actually hiring people better than me at certain things. I'm
Yeah.
like, holy cow, right? Because you're at this certain business level where you're like, just me and my wife, and we're doing the billing and like accounting. So
Hmm.
I don't know. I think I went off on a tangent there, but you asked me how many people I have. I have about 25 people.
25. And you mentioned a golden nugget, I think, of this conversation is, hiring people that are very talented in what they do, and then that allows you to do the best at what you do. And I think the beautiful thing about hiring a team is you can find those people to fill those roles.
Yeah, but then I got no excuses. Then I got to do my job better and pay for the.
They keep you on your toes.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Oh, well, I'd like to dive into a little bit about what you kind of see the business growing into. Where would you like to see your business going in, say, the next 3 to 5 years?
I'm trying to double my gross revenue was a goal, like a milestone I'd like to do in the next 3 years. So we had pretty explosive growth in the last 2 years. And I think that's going to be hard, because it's not like it's very nuts and bolts kind of business, literally. So it's not scalable like software or something where you can just hit that hockey stick and really go. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a bit harder to scale this type of business.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally doable, but when you talk about going from 500,000 to 5 million, okay, but to double that again and then double, it starts becoming, I think, exponentially harder because the the nature of the business, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, um, yeah, I'm excited to see your growth and everything that goes with that in the next 3 to 5 years, and kind of looking at your marketing and how you're putting yourself out there. You mentioned you have a really good client base, which is awesome. How are you marketing yourself in the industry?
I have a guy that I work with. He's pretty talented, and it's like fractional basically. So uh, I pay him pretty well, I think. I spend a lot of money on marketing. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I,
Yeah.
I, I yeah. I would say, like, I would guess most people that have a business of my size aren't marketing the way I'm marketing.
Hmm.
I would guess. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but it's a significant line item on my P&L. And where you're like, that's a nice car every year. I'm not driving the sports car I wish I had because I'd spend it on marketing, let's say.
Yeah. Is it now, are you focused on like SEO, social media, or kind of like running the whole
Yeah,
camera?
my industry is very niche,
Sure.
so it's just, and that's why I wonder about companies like yours, or what people trying to sell me things, because I'm not, this isn't a normal industry.
Mhm.
The marketing or the target audience is narrower than you could ever imagine. They don't even know they're a target audience until they have a need for somebody like me. So it's
Mm.
very, I don't know how to explain it to you more, clearly, or like, but yes, building if you look at my website, springboardbus.com, it's a decent website for the size of company we are. It looks good. It's not built on Wix. There's a lot on the back end. We have social media presence. It's getting better and better. It's just little wins, kind of moving the needle a little bit. We do a lot of direct marketing. I go to trade shows and conferences and see
Mhm.
people and shake hands and give away swag. And I try to have good swag. I give away $3 pens instead of 50-cent pens, because then people want my pen. They come back up to me and go, "Hey, do you have any more of those pens?" And I'm like, "This is the same pen that I use."
Mhm.
And I want people to associate my company with quality products. And so instead of giving away a $10 hat, I give away $25 hats,
That's
stuff
really
like that.
special. Yeah, that's really good. I love that. This has been a great conversation, learning about you, your business, and kind of where you're going. Now I'd like to dive into a fun part of the question Q&As where you answer very top of mind. It's called our rapid fire questions. There'll be 4 questions.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll kick it off with question number one is what is the key to success for you?
Key to success. My grandfather used to tell me, like he said, always be thinking. And I don't know if that comes naturally or something, but my brain is on all the time. I have trouble sleeping. I drive home, I'm thinking about work or problems or challenges. It's just on all the time. So if maybe that's just dumb because that's the way my mind works, but it's on all the time, and I'm always thinking about work and challenges and running through different scenarios. And I remember my grandfather being like, "Oh, always be using your head. Always be thinking, Elliot." And they would tell me to learn something new every day too. If you didn't learn something new, how can you not every day? So try to do that too. So maybe those.
But I can totally relate to you. My mind is always on too.
Really?
Like
Okay.
really resonated. I think that's a business
Yeah.
owner thing for sure.
Well, I think it's like a blessing and a curse, to be
Yeah,
honest,
it
dude. I'm like
is.
envious of people that can just like space out for like I space out, but it's like I'm not spaced out. I'm like it's going on, and
Yeah.
I'm
No,
like,
I completely relate to that. You're not
cool.
alone. Number two is what is a piece of advice you have for other business owners?
I don't know. It sounds cliche, but one, go for it. Two, if you're a business owner, so you've already went for it. I don't know. It's not for everybody. I didn't think it was for me. I'll tell you what, I remember being like a 12-year-old kid, and I wouldn't see my father for like a week. Like he was there living in the house. He would
Hmm.
go to work before we were up, and he would return at night. He was a hardworking dude. And on the weekends, he was out traveling, meeting customers. And I would remember being a young boy going, I don't want that. And at that time my father still had success, and we had a bigger house up on the hill, and nice things, but I was like, what, if I could just make a couple $100,000 a year, back when money meant something, it was like 100 grand, like if I could just white picket fence and just have a nice stable job for a reliable company. I remember being a young boy and thinking that, and then something just sucked. So what I'm saying is I think some people are just business owners at the end of the day, and they want it, and they're you're in it, right? And to realize maybe you're not a business owner. If people are struggling with all this, then maybe it isn't for you. And you got to know that about yourself, because I come here and I love it. I love my people, and I love solving problems, and I may get like passionate about it. I tend to yell. I say passionate, but I'm not yelling, but I'm excited about the problems that we have. And if it's just like weighing on you and stuff, I don't want to give that cliche like all the crap you see on the internet, like you can do it too. Most people probably aren't business owners, like
Yeah,
so maybe
true.
it's not for you. Like,
Mhm.
there's my advice.
It is great advice. It's like, thinking about like, is this really for you? Yeah, I think that's a huge question. That's another golden nugget for sure. So yeah. So qu question number three is, what is a book you've recently read, or not, if it's not a book, like a podcast, an article, anything that you've taken in that's been that stood out to you?
Well, I'll tell you what, I miss it. I'm a big fan of AI. Sounds dumb now, but that's because everybody's into AI. I have all my team using it, chat GTP, and they go, "Oh, sure, Elliot, I'll get to that." I'm like, "No, use it. Have you signed up for it?" "No, not yet." "What the fuck are you doing?" Like,
Mm-hmm.
dude, you take this spreadsheet and load them in there and say, "Chat GTP, I want to do this."
Mm-hmm.
And it goes, "Okay, here you go." Like, why are we not using this more? This is just regular people doing, we're trying to take two spreadsheets with different data and combine them together. It will do that for you. Anyways, that's what I'm always learning about it. I love it. That's what my wife fell in love with me, that when we met 7 years ago or something. All I could
Mm-hmm.
talk about, she says, on my first date was AI. This is 7 years ago, and I'm out here fixing buses. I should have just been like, yeah, this AI is a thing, and I should have went that direction, because I'd be on podcast. So anyways, I missed the train, but missed that boat on AI. But I use it all the time. I love it. I think it's a great thing, and I'm always learning more. I'm fascinated about it. Anyways, so I read about it every day. I learn about it, newsletters. It's fun for me. It's interesting. So
Definitely. I'm with you there too. My chat GPT is one of my best friends.
yeah, it knows way too much about me. I don't think Google
Yeah.
knows as much as
Tell them to
ChatGPT
make
does.
those illustrated pictures that look just like you just from it
Oh,
talking
that's
to you.
fun. Yeah, my wife
Yeah,
did
that's a
those.
little, that's interesting. I'm
Yeah.
curious more about that. But the final question in our rapid fire is, if you could wave a magic wand and choose one aspect of your business to change overnight, what would it be?
I'd say top line, but that's cliche. You don't want to hear that. Like, change one thing. Um, I don't know. I'd probably change my situation with my family. You know, that's hard for me. So if that counts, that's it sucks to be doing this and having this much fun and not sharing it with my father and my brothers. Yeah, I don't
Mm,
like that.
yeah, definitely. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, before we get to our final question today,
Mm-hmm.
how can people connect with your business online?
Springbirdbus.com.
Springbirdbus.com. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much again for our final question. What is most inspiring to you today?
People. I work with people. That's why one of the things I love about being a business owner. Every day, everybody has their own problems, and you leave home, but you come here, and it's kind of nice. You get a different set of problems, and I like that too. I got my problems at home. My team out there, they have their different problems, but you come to work, and we're all, as dumb as it sounds, we're collectively working on fixing buses together, and that's nice. I like that.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for this conversation. It was a joy to learn about you and your business today.
Pleasure meeting you. Thank you.